Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. Mrs. Brown here. I am so glad to see each of you here this morning. For those of you who know me, so glad to see you. And if you are here for the first time or just tuning in live to my labs for the first time, my name is Mrs. Brown. I am a certified IEW instructor, and I teach writing and grammar classes that lay a foundation for a lifetime of excellent writing. And I do that through my website, homeschoolclick.com. Now, today I'm going to be coming to you talking about SSS 1C. And it's just a review of the IEW product SSS 1C. This product, I'll show you a picture of it. I have it right here in front of me. This is the 10th grade and up, meaning that the sources inside of here are for or at a 10th grade and up reading level. So I'm going to talk about what I love about SSS 1C and some of the things that I would say are cons for SSS 1C, or just things that you want to kind of pay close attention to if you are considering SSS 1C. I don't know about you. I have high schoolers, and I'm going to let everybody kind of gather here for a second, but I am in that mode of making sure, everything is organized and scheduled, and all of their classes are aligned, and they're taking classes that will be appropriate for their level and things of that nature. So I don't know if you're in that August moment, but that's where I am right now. Certainly, I definitely want to hear from you in the comments. I have some things to share, but I'd love to hear, what are you working on, especially if you've used SSS 1C or you're thinking about it. What are your questions? So let's make this interactive. All right, I think we've all had enough time to join, and you can always watch the replay if you are not here at the very beginning. So again, I'm going to be doing a review of SSS 1C. That is this program that IEW offers. It's a high school program, and the sources are for 10th and up. So the very first thing, I'm going to share about 5 things that I think are really, really helpful and useful, the things I would call pros for the SSS 1C program. And the first thing I think that is a pro is that it includes video lessons. So for those of you who might be new to IEW, IEW has and SSS stands for Structure and Style for Students. They have the SSS the SSS programs, which are the video-based, video-supported programs, and then they have what's called theme-based writing. And for theme-based writing, there is no video support. You would need to either join a class with a certified or registered IEW instructor, or go through the IEW training yourself. So I'll talk a little bit about theme-based lessons today, not a ton, but mostly what I love about SSS 1C. So for 1C, especially for my high schoolers, I love the video-based support for a couple of reasons. I think one benefit for the student themselves, which is kind of a benefit for us too, if you're a parent, is it really allows them to build independence into their schedule. At this age, we certainly want to see our student being a lot more independent in their work. And so the video-based lessons allows you as a parent to give them that independence, but also to know that they have the support that they need from the video-based lessons. And so, of course, Andrew Pudawa is teaching those video-based lessons, so it's top-notch teaching, of course. So I would say that is definitely the benefit, or the first benefit of the SSS 1C program. This one here, if you've been looking at it or thinking about it, or you have it in your shopping cart, that's a benefit. He also does a lot of modeling on the videos. So again, your student, when they watch the video lessons, they're getting the modeling from Andrew Pudawa. So they're not alone, and they're able to build that independence, because again, we're wanting to, at this point in their academic career, we're thinking about launching them out of our homes and into a young adulthood. And so this video-based program does provide that. The second thing, and I really want to emphasize this because this is not something that's in the physical book, but it is a PDF download that you get inside of your in your account under your files, is the student samples. So again, as a parent, especially when we're starting to kind of launch our students into or give them a little bit more independence, we want to make sure that as we give them that independence, they're being guided correctly and appropriately, and they have the supports they need, and we have the support that we need. So for every single assignment, there are 24 assignments or 24 lessons inside of the SSS 1C curriculum. You can go into your account, your IEW account, and look at what a student sample of that lesson looks like. I love that. You can do that for all of the programs, all the SSS programs, and they also have some of that support for the theme-based writing programs too. But I always want to mention that because I think parents forget to go check that PDF download that they get inside of their files in their account. And to add to kind of the files that come with that, that's probably a sixth thing I should have added, but you also get what's called an adapted schedule. So if you're someone who doesn't want to just do it, week to week over 24 weeks, IEW provides an adapted schedule inside of your files when you purchase this curriculum. So what I mean by that is if you are on the IEW site or you're looking at what they call the scope and sequence inside of the book is going to give you like a 24-week scope and sequence. It'll show you how to go through this in 24 weeks. But some of us need to allow our students a little bit more space for these lessons. And so you can have an actual printed schedule that if you want to extend it to 30 weeks, you can say, here, student, child, whomever you're working with, why don't we follow the 30-week adapted lesson? And that's actually what I use in my IEW class for SSS 1C. We use the 30-week adapted schedule to give students a little bit more breathing room as we're walking through this particular program. So again, the first benefit, video lessons. Second benefit, student samples for every single lesson. So I'm curious, what do you like between these two? Do you feel like the video lesson is great for you? Do you feel like that is a pro for SSS 1C or just even for the SSS group of offerings that IEW has out of the first two? Which one do you like the best? Go ahead, and if you're watching it on the replay, let me know. Do you like one, the video lessons, or the student samples? What has been the most beneficial to you? All right, the third thing that I kind of combined three things into number three is I love that every single lesson comes with goals, a schedule, and a schedule breakdown and a checklist. Now, the reason I like that, I've talked a lot before about my own students who struggle. And so for those of us who have students who struggle, and just in general for any student, I love that every lesson starts with what we have here. We have the goals for the week, so the student knows what is it that we are focusing on this week. What are the goals? What should we be learning and focusing on? The second thing is the suggested daily breakdown, and they break this down into 4 or 5 days. So again, I know that I have students who struggle with executive functioning skills. And so they struggle sometimes with taking a very large assignment and breaking that down into, what do I do today for this lesson to accomplish this lesson? So I love that already built into the program are some skills where your student gets a chance to practice those executive functioning skills. And again, that is just a great skill to build for any student. And the last thing is the checklist. For every single assignment, I really love that there's a checklist. I'll show you an example of the checklist. So no student will wonder what is required of me from this lesson. It tells you, okay, for structure, what is it that I need to have for my paper? For stylistic techniques, for mechanics, for banned words, what is required in every single one of my paragraphs. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up writing, I don't really remember having such a thorough checklist. So I felt like my grades changed from teacher to teacher, and I didn't exactly change the way that I wrote. I love that IEW does not make that a question. A student knows what to expect. They know how to break down their whole week, and they also can check things off as they complete the task. super duper helpful. And I think that is a super duper benefit that IEW offers, and it's built into the program. The fourth thing is grammar. Now, obviously, you could certainly just buy the SSS 1C program by itself, but I love that IEW does pair grammar with this package. If you buy, I think it's called the basic package. So this SSS 1C goes with Fix It Grammar Book 5. And the Fix It Grammar Book 5, just to make it a more robust and more complete and full program, you can add grammar without having to, again, go find something else to use out there in homeschool curriculum land. You can go ahead and purchase the Fix It Grammar Book 5 to go along with 1C. Now, the nice thing about the grammar program is that a lot of what they are going to be doing in their writing will be reinforced and re-emphasized here in grammar. What that the benefit to the student and for the editor is that if they're using the grammar program, you kind of have the same language that you can use with each other when you're editing. So for example, if they forget to add a comma after they have added a subordinate clause, they will, of course, be learning that grammar skill here. And you as an editor or as a parent can say, oh, remember when we learned that after you add a subordinate clause, it always is followed by a comma if you add it at the beginning of a sentence. So again, it gives that student, without only, hearing editing language about their own paper, it gives them an opportunity to learn those skills and apply those skills to their own writing. So I would say that is the fourth thing that I like about kind of the SSS program package wise. And the fifth thing, which is new this year, is dual enrollment. So if you have a student who you would like to work through or have them do the SSS 1C program, and you would like for them to get, pardon me, college credit for the work that they're doing, IEW has now partnered with a university. And let me see if I can share with you this tab. You can, let's see, let me share this tab with you real quick. Give me a second. There is a dual enrollment screen that I want to share with you. Well, let me just see if I can share the link with you. I'm going to share the link with you because I cannot share the screen right this minute with you. So if you want this option, you can go to this link here. It's on the IEW page, and it's IEW.com/help-support blog dual enrollment IEW. It lets you know how you can take advantage of this opportunity. I know, again, a lot of us, especially when we're looking at our high school, homeschooling high school, we want to you can kind of kill two birds with one stone there. You can do the SSS 1C, have all the support that IEW provides to your student, and also get credit for college. Inside of the show notes are some additional links that you can check out. There's a link to this link right here. There's a link to the actual university that IEW has the relationship with. And there's also, I believe, a link to the podcast where IEW talks about their new dual enrollment program with the university. So again, just to recap some of the pros, video lessons are provided with the SSS 1C program. They have student samples inside of your files when you log into your IEW account. The third thing, you have goals, a schedule breakdown, and a checklist for every single lesson. Love that. Great for building those executive functioning skills. It comes with grammar if you want to, so you don't have to go swim in these homeschool curriculum waters and figure out what to do for grammar. You have grammar that actually is a complement to your writing program. And now this year, there's dual enrollment. Now, if you're interested in dual enrollment, be sure to look into that right away, because I think the registration is August 15th, the deadline. So definitely check that out. Now, I'm going to talk about a few cons that I would see in this program. And this kind of goes with all of the SSS programs so far that I see compared to what I've experienced in theme-based lessons. So, and I will show you the comparison. So the first con I would say is there are no student guided notes. And the reason I call that a con is because if you have a student, it's kind of heavy. There's a lot of heavy note taking. Now, on one end, that can be a positive thing. It really builds your your student skills to write notes when someone is speaking. And certainly if your student is going to be in work environments or going to university and they're going to have to build up that note-taking muscle. They're obviously building that note-taking muscle inside of every single lesson. They're also building that muscle of taking notes while they're watching the video. So the video does a really thorough job modeling the process. The student can stop and write notes at their own pace. The only thing that I would like to see is what I mean by the no guided notes, comparing it to theme-based writing. For example, here's I have advanced U.S. history-based writing, which I love this theme-based writing lesson. For the lesson, they actually provide like the keyword outline lines. I think that is really, really nice. Especially again, if we have students who struggle with that. I know that I have a student on IEP, a student on a 504, and inside of their 504 and IEP, guided notes is one of an accommodation that's really helpful for them. So I feel like in the theme-based writing where they have these guided notes, it's actually a built-in accommodation, even though it benefits every student. It's a nice accommodation for students who may struggle with writing notes, especially if you just give them a blank page and they have to write notes. Sometimes that's a struggle. The other thing that I like that is not in the kind of the SSS 1C program or any of the kind of the SSS programs as it relates to guided notes are the brainstorming pages. Now, what I will say is he does brainstorm on the video lesson. So it's not that brainstorming doesn't happen. They brainstorm the dress ups, they brainstorm openers and things of that nature. But again, your student is needing to write those notes on their own. Not a problem, a great skill to build. However, what I do appreciate about what the theme-based lesson offers, and I'll show you an example of a brainstorming page that I like. Let me see. Okay, well, this is more of a grammar rule. I won't show this one. But for example, if they're introducing in a lot of the theme-based writing lessons, if they're introducing an opener, a dress up, or something like that, the theme-based writing provides some brainstorming pages where they can brainstorm their ideas before they write their final. I'll just give you an example of this one here. Not the best example, but an example. In advanced U.S. history-based writing, they talk about adverbial teeter-totters. I think the other thing too is just, again, having this on the physical paper, it allows the student, it explains adverbial teeter-totters, it gives them an example, and then it allows them to practice. Again, they can write this down on their own paper and do it themselves, but guided notes, again, for any of us who have students who would benefit from guided notes, I do like that the theme-based writing provides more of a guided note experience for students. The second thing that I think is a little bit of well, let me go back to the guided notes piece. I will say that one way to address this is in the teacher guide of your SSS program, you get as a parent you get all what's called the board notes. So everything in gray, this will not be in your student's book, but it will be in your book. So if you have the teacher guide, you can look at all the board notes. And if you have a student who would benefit from guided notes, you can kind of create some guided notes for them, more like fill in the blank type of pages to help them along if they will benefit from that. So there's kind of a workaround, but that's kind of the con. One thing I don't particularly love about the SSS program, or at least how the student guide is laid out. I think the other thing that I miss, or I would call a little bit of a con, not a huge con, would be that there are no vocabulary cards. Now there is vocabulary, of course. They introduce vocabulary words in every lesson. And those words are words that show up in the source. So in the video lesson for SSS 1C, and actually all the SSS programs, in the video lesson, the word and the vocabulary and the definition show up on the screen. It flashes up on the screen. The student would then either pause the video, or if they can write fast enough, write down the vocabulary word and the definition. So I like that it's taught in context, which is really nice. However, I do like, I'll give you an example kind of what they have in the theme-based writing, which I do love. I do love that they have vocabulary cards. They're visual. So for my visual learners, you get a picture of what the vocabulary card looks like on the back of the card. It gives you the definition and a sentence and some synonyms. So I do like that because you can cut them out and use them. Actually, I don't see synonyms, that's just the sentence and the definition. But you can use those to practice the vocabulary words. Now, a workaround obviously would be technology-wise, if you wanted to do it yourself, you could obviously have your student write their vocabulary words on an index card. I'm a big user. I mean, I could probably teach every subject on using index cards, but they can write their vocabulary word and the definition on index cards. So that's a workaround that you could use for 1C. The other thing you could do, obviously, is use things like Quizlet or Kahoot. Those are free sources, and you can drop the vocabulary words. I think even IEW, if I can find it, I think IEW actually has a Quizlet for 1C. And so if I can find it, I will add it to my show notes afterwards, so that if you're using 1C this year, I think IEW put out some free Quizlets with the vocabulary. And those are ways that, again, your student can reinforce the vocabulary for what they're learning in 1C. And again, I've already mentioned no practice pages. That was my third con. But again, I've already mentioned that. I do like, again, that they have physical practice pages in a lot of the theme-based writing lessons. And they, again, practice on the actual screen. In the video lesson, they still have a wonderful conversation about how to add all of the dress ups and the openers. But again, I like when it's physically in the book. Again, it just slows my child's brain down. It allows them to look at the page, read the definition or the explanation of the dress up or the opener or whatever the concept is, and it allows them to practice before they move into the final writing the final draft. So again, just a quick overview from top to bottom. Pros of, we're talking about the SSS 1C program this today. For those of you who are looking at the high school program, pros. First pro I mentioned today is that it comes with video lessons. That's great because you can kind of gently move your student towards more independence, kind of allowing them to have more space from you and to kind of do some of the work on their own, but with support. Okay, it's kind of like training wheels a little bit. And again, the other support that is provided for you and your student is in your IEW account. They have student samples. Okay, so don't miss those student samples. A lot of my parents forget to check their files. Go into your IEW account and you have those student samples. You have a 30-week adapted schedule. So if you don't want to follow the schedule that's 24 weeks inside of the scope and sequence that's in the book itself, you can go into your IEW account when you purchase 1C and actually download the 30-week one to give your students. I like the 30-week one. I use the 30-week adapted schedule in the live classes that I teach, and I do have space in my class this year if you are still looking for a place for your high school student. So I love that. The third thing, I love that every single lesson comes with the goals for that lesson. So what your student should learn or should take away. It comes with a schedule breakdown. So how do I take this, this whole assignment and break it down day by day? What do I do day 1 through day 5? And it has a checklist. So your student does not have to question or wonder what is required on my final paper. Your student has a checklist for every single assignment. The fourth benefit I thought that that I like to point out is that it comes with grammar. So again, you can of course just buy 1C, but they also have a package that pairs it with Fix It Grammar level 5, which is the frog prints. The nice thing about that is you don't have to again go swimming in these homeschool curriculum waters trying to figure out what to use for grammar. The other nice thing is because it's an IEW grammar product, a lot of what they will learn on the grammar side will reinforce what they're doing in their own papers on the writing side. So I like that aspect of the grammar. The fifth thing I mentioned is that now IEW has dual enrollment. So again, not only can you help your student satisfy a high school credit, now IEW has partnered with a university so that dual enrollment is available for your high school student. And this is the link that you can go to learn more about dual enrollment. I did put the some more links will be inside of the show notes here if you are looking at dual enrollment for your student. I did mention a few cons, not huge, but some things that are, I would prefer that IW would have added. One con is I don't feel like they have guided notes, the same kind of guided notes that they have in the theme-based writing. So again, if you've ever come to any of my lives, you've probably heard me talk about, I have students who struggle. I have, students who are typical learners, and I have 2 students who struggle who are on IEP and 504. Guided notes are game changers for them. So when we did theme-based lessons, I love that in the theme-based lessons, they had the check or the keyword outline lines for them so that when the student is doing their assignment, they have some guidance already. But again, what I said was your teacher guide does have all of the board notes that Mr. Pudawa will put on the board, and you can always create guided notes for your student if that's something that your student needs. I also think that a con, I don't like that word con, but like a thing that I would prefer, that would be preferred if they would have added the vocabulary cards. Again, I like the vocab cards that come in the theme-based writing. I showed you all an example of that. This is an example of advanced history-based writing. I like those, but again, a workaround is just have your student write the vocabulary words that flash on the screen on index cards. They can use them again the same way to practice and reinforce those vocabulary words that they learned. And then the other thing I mentioned is kind of a con is the no practice pages. So on the video lesson, they talk about the dress ups and the openers, and they brainstorm on the screen. Your student can write notes along with Mr. Pudawa. Still wonderful. What I do like, though, that the theme-based writing does offer are practice pages. So they get a chance to brainstorm on actual practice pages before they would write their final draft. So I like that. I just, again, for my students, it just allows them to slow their brain down to see on a physical page another explanation of what that stylistic technique is, and they get a chance to practice. So those are the only things that I would say are cons. There's always a workaround. I like both programs. I like SSS, and I do love the theme-based writing. But today I'm just kind of talking about what I love about SSS 1C and SSS, the writing and the grammar, what they have for IEW. So that is it for the day. I usually go live every Monday around 10-ish, but this week I'm actually going to go live every single day, and I'm going to talk about the SSS programs this week. So tomorrow I will be talking about SSS 2B. So if you have SSS 2B in your shopping cart or you're thinking about it, come back and see me around 10-ish tomorrow on YouTube, Facebook, and in my Facebook groups. I will go live and talk about SSS 2B. Also, if you are I don't know about you, but right now August is, at the beginning of August, I start feeling like, oh my gosh, school's getting ready to start. So if you are having that moment along with me, I do a free book club at the end of every month. In August, we are going to be, we're reading right now, Raising Critical Thinkers by Julie Bogart. And so if you want to go to the library and grab that book, or, we all love receiving those Amazon Prime, boxes on our porch. If you want to go grab that from Amazon and read it, and then come on Sunday, August 28th at 7:30 p.m. By the way, that's my birthday. So, I'll be spending part of my birthday with you all. Come join me and some other homeschool moms for the Raising Critical Thinkers book discussion. It's an excellent book. I've been reading that over the last few days and taking just copious notes. So I hope you enjoyed as well. All right. It's been great to spend time with you. If you have any questions, you can of course, always come see me at homeschoolclick.com. Again, you can, of course, email me at IEW with Mrs. Brown at gmail.com. That's the best way to email me. But again, come see me at homeschoolclick.com. And as always, it was good to see you. I'll see you tomorrow. So again, I'll be on every single day this week talking about one of the SSS programs. Tomorrow will be SSS 2B, pros and cons. Take good care, everybody.